Paul, bring us up to date.
Yeah, so well, I can bring you up to date, but frankly, the situation hasn't really moved on in terms of the industrial action itself, Arlene. This is the second 48-hour walkout by the RMT this week. So since Tuesday and Wednesday, we had the first 48-hour strike. Wednesday, we had that strike by ASLEF. They represent the train drivers' union. Today, tomorrow, it's the RMT again, and that takes us pretty much to the end of the week. So really, Monday will be the first working day of 2023 when we'll have a full UK rail network. But the difference with this industrial action is set against the backdrop of these anti-strike laws that the government wants to introduce, but not for Northern Ireland, so affecting England, Wales and Scotland. And essentially, according to Grant Schapps, the business secretary, they want to introduce a minimum service level for fire, ambulance and rail staff. Voluntary agreements for the public sector, things such as health and education. But the unions aren't happy with it. They're considering legal action. Labour say they'd repeal any such laws. That's what we heard from Sir Keir Starmer yesterday. And this is what Mick Lynch, the boss of the RMT, told me earlier today.
Well, we feel outraged like everyone else. It's been a set piece this week. This government could have got some talks on this week, but instead they wanted to frame their announcement in the context of some railway strikes. So rather than talking to us from December the 15th, they've decided to wait till next Monday so that they could make this announcement. And of course, what this is an attack on human rights and civil liberties. It's most important in a free society that we have free trade unions. And now that they've lost the argument about the issues, about how public services are funded, how public sector workers are treated, they've also lost the argument on the existing anti-trade union laws, because every union is defeating them by having mass ballots. They want to make the action that comes out of those ballots.
I also asked Mick how he feels about the fact that the hospitality industry has lost £2.5 billion since the start of this dispute, and he said he was sorry, but he laid the blame for it at the door of number 10. Two things to note about this, Arlene, which is that how the unions respond will depend very much on the wording of that primary legislation when it's introduced. It's not going to affect the current round of industrial action, but the definition of minimum levels of service, that will be key, and the government say it will consult on that. Certainly, it makes those negotiations between the unions and the government and the rail companies at the start of next week a little bit more difficult with that threat of legislation in the background.